Welcome to the Nobody Guide to Life, where we provide tips, tools for personal growth, personal development, and your spiritual journey that you can use right now in your everyday life. We're so happy to have you here. This is our second full episode, and we're really excited to be bringing you this podcast. Don't forget, you can always find out more about what we're doing at nobodiesview.com or the nobodybible.com, or you can check us out on Twitter and Facebook at Nobody's View if you want to learn a little more, to put something into the show and join the conversation. We'd love to have you. So if you heard our first episode, you heard us talking a little bit about a mindfulness and meditation technique that you can use anywhere. And just to recap, I use the example of somebody running on a treadmill at the end of a long day where maybe their time at the gym was really a luxury to them. And I know luxury is a word that we might use to describe any bit of time that we have in the day that isn't consumed with family obligations or work. But one of the things that we are really all about at this show is the idea that it doesn't really matter where you are in your day, that it's the events of your day that can help you on your journey of personal growth or your spiritual journey. So if you're running on a treadmill, pay attention to the sound of your feet thumping on the treadmill and concentrate on that. So anytime your thoughts stray, move them back to the thumping of your feet. Or if you're sitting at work and you're having a difficult day, maybe take a walk around the building and just pay attention to your breath as you walk. And anytime there are disturbing thoughts, maybe just draw your attention back to your footsteps. So it got me thinking about the real benefits that meditation practice can provide, because if this is a tool that we can use anywhere in our day, it really should be for a purpose. And so I went over to the National Institutes of Health and I started taking a look at some of the things that they had to say at NIH.gov. And they mentioned that there's been a lot of studies on meditation that show that it can be helpful for a lot of conditions like high blood pressure or pain. And they also mention that it can possibly reduce the symptoms of things like depression and insomnia and anxiety. And that's really important, because of all the tools that we can use, of all the tools that we're going to talk about on the Nobody Guide to Life, meditation and mindfulness practice is really something very simple that we can all participate in. So I'm bringing it back up in this episode because I wanted to clarify something. If we believe that this path that we're on is something that's really going to benefit us, and if it's really something that we want to invest our time in, then we have to make sure that when we create a new ritual around a piece of personal growth, so if we want to meditate more, if we decide that devoting ourselves to mindfulness is something we want to do, up front, when we decide to pursue that practice, there's a lot of motivation for that. We might be very dedicated to that meditation practice initially because it feels new. It feels like something exciting. I had an influential spiritual teacher in my life say something along those lines. He said, at the start of any new practice like this, we're really full of energy. And that's the time when we're the most motivated. But over time, that motivation melts away. And so I got to thinking about that, and I got to thinking about my own meditation practice. And life comes along and pulls us away into other obligations, important obligations that we have. And so if we've committed to meditation and we've committed to making meditation a part of our daily routine, like say, for instance, before we go to work or right after we get home, there's a chance that practice is not going to take place. Maybe your child is sick and you have to be home with them during the day and you miss that practice. So certainly your child's well-being is more important in that moment than a 10-minute meditation practice. Or maybe when you get home from work, there are things you have to do. There are bills to pay, or there's a lawn to mow, so you don't get around to it. And a lot of times, if we fall out of the routine we've created, we fall away from the motivation that we feel. And eventually we just allow the disruptions to take over. And we really make our routine around the disruptions. Well, knowing what we know about meditation and how important it is, and knowing what we know about how simple of a tool it can be to use, I wanted to present this to you. When you're starting off on a new process, a new routine, when you're using a new tool in personal development or your spiritual journey, I want you to remember this. Go easy on yourself, okay? So if you do set up a new routine and you miss a day, don't beat yourself up about it, because that kind of self-talk can really derail what you're trying to do. Really, when you commit to a path of, say, meditation, you're not really striving to become a professional meditator. You're really just striving to use a tool in your daily life that you think you can help you in some way. That being the case, going easy on yourself is really important. So, say you miss your morning meditation. Well, that doesn't mean that you can't meditate at other points during the day. So, if you find yourself at work and you find yourself sitting at your desk, take a few minutes to just stop what you're doing and feel your pulse. A good place to try to do that is to feel your heart beating and just concentrate on that. So no, you didn't get a chance to meditate in the morning, but now you can meditate a little bit at your desk. If for some reason you can't do your evening practice, your evening meditation practice, it's no big deal. When you climb into bed at night, instead of watching HGTV or playing around on your phone, go easy on yourself and remember, look, I didn't get in that long meditation session that I like to have at night, but that's okay. Now here I am, I'm in bed. Try this. Just turn off the light and focus on your breath. Just focus on air going into your nostrils and air coming out your mouth like that, if that's something that you'd like to do. Or focus on your pulse again. Your pulse is really a built-in tool that you can use for meditation. And it's actually quite exciting because your pulse, like your breath, hopefully, is always there. So it's something that you can use. You don't need any special equipment from the store. You don't need to dress a certain way or look a certain way or have a certain belief system. That tool is always with you. So we can apply this to other things as well. I know some people who have very faithful and intense yoga practices. Well, there are certain positions that you can do that don't necessarily require you to be in a formal place to do them. Even in the evenings, watching TV with your kids or watching TV with your significant other, just do some stretching. Even if you can't get a full yoga session in, you can do some of the postures, you can do some of the stretching, even if you can't do the associated breathing techniques. Really, that's the message for today. And I think this is really important because if you heard the feature we did after our first full episode, you heard me talk about using meditation in a waiting room. I was actually waiting before a doctor's appointment. So I was feeling a little bit of background anxiety, and I didn't really know why, but I just pulled this tool out of my pocket and used it right on the spot. I didn't get a chance on that day to do my formal meditation practice, but that was okay. That was okay. I used 10 minutes in a doctor's waiting room and really had an interesting experience and found that keeping my attention focused on my breathing, keeping my attention focused at a certain point in the room really helped to reduce those feelings of anxiety. And I really hope it can do the same for you. So when you go out there today, when you go out there this week, no matter where you are, think about the tools that you've chosen to use in your everyday life to help you make some progress on your journey of personal growth or your journey of spirituality. And think about places in your day that you can use that tool, even if you can't use it the way you normally or formally do. And I think what you're going to find over time is that when you go easier on yourself, you're more excited. You're more excited to pursue these things. You're more excited to use those tools because you know they're not tied to a certain part of the day. And you know that if you miss a moment in one part of the day, you can make it up somewhere else. And that's hopefully to you, a very exciting message, because it sure was to me. So that is our message for today. Hopefully you will have a good practice today and this week. Reach out to us at nobodiesview.com or the nobodybible.com or Twitter and Facebook at nobodiesview, and let us know what you think about our message and how you've used it in your own life. Have a good practice, and I'll talk to you soon.